Right, Chris, it's Cheltenham against Portsmouth. First time Cheltenham have ever been down there. And as a player for both clubs, did you ever think you'd see that in a league game?
No, I didn't. I thought, Portsmouth are a real big club, and to be fair to Cheltenham, they're doing really well, and hopefully they can get the playoffs this year. But I wouldn't have dreamed to see Portsmouth playing Cheltenham.
Yeah, let's go back to your playing days at Cheltenham. You started off at Bristol City, didn't you? And then you came to Cheltenham. You got your big move to Portsmouth. Tell me a bit about those times and how the move actually came about.
Yeah, it was a bit of luck, really. What happened was a guy called Alan Goff, I don't know if anyone knows him, knew the manager at Portsmouth at the time was Frank Burrows, and I think I was suspended at the time for Cheltenham when I was like 2-week ban, and I went down there and for a trial for a week, and then after 3 days Frank called me in and said we'd like to offer you a contract, and I thought he was winding me up, to be honest, but great, when I pen to paper within seconds. I just wanted to be a pro footballer, and it was great. But good memories at Cheltenham as well before.
Yeah, so the time at Portsmouth, most people will remember one game more than any, and that's when you got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup against Liverpool. Does that always stand out for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, over 2 games, they had so many internationals, and that year, our manager Jim Smith had put so many young lads in at the start of the season when the supporters didn't even really know any of them. And we gelled as a good football team, and some of them went on to big things. But yeah, fantastic day, and losing on penalties in the second game was the biggest disappointment. But to play against so many internationals was fantastic.
Yeah, were there any particular moments from that game, or either of those 2 games, that you remember playing against players that you were up against that you really never forget?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the biggest thing for me is the chance in the second game with about 4 minutes left when Alan McLaughlin hit the bar, and it was 0-0 at the time, and it was easier to miss than score. So I was a bit gutted with that, because it's hit the bar and come out, and then obviously it's gone to penalties. But to play, having to mark Wright, he's playing for England at the time, centre half, and the manager saying to me, "You've got to pick him up from all the corners." He happened to be the biggest lad on the field. I'm thinking, I'm in trouble here, but to have to mark someone with such a good pedigree of a good footballer, and John Barnes was, at the time was probably the best player in the country, and to not let them score in a game was a big achievement for our club.
Yeah, and how many years did you have down there? Because you went to Northampton after that, didn't you?
No, I was there for 4 years.
Right.
Then I went to Swansea on loan, right, with Frank again, because Frank was the manager. Yeah. Good times. Went to Bournemouth with Tony Pulis for a couple of months on loan. Yeah. And then obviously I went to Northampton with Ian Atkins after that. But yeah, about 9 or 10 good years in all told.
Yeah, and you stayed in contact with a few of your old teammates. And what do you think about what's happened to Portsmouth recently? Because obviously you almost got to the final. Since then they've won the FA Cup, but now it's obviously all gone wrong for them. So what's it been like for the followers of Pompey, do you think?
Like you said, they're such a loyal crowd. You often see the pictures of John with his bugling and his drum and all the tattoos of Portsmouth. People like that, they live for the club, and when they're still getting 8,000 at home in League Two, it's a big crowd. And that probably for me, the worst thing that ever happened to Portsmouth was winning the FA Cup. Obviously, because then they brought in big players, and obviously with the resources and the money, they couldn't cope, and it's just left them where they are now, and hope they can get over that.
Yeah, and what's Fratton Park like? So you've built a new stand, but it's still quite an old ground, isn't it? Probably hasn't changed that much since you were playing down there.
No, I've been down there a couple of times, and it's just got the big home end behind the goal net, and at the Fratton end. The Milton end's now got a roof on it, where it didn't used to have a roof when I was there, but it is an old ground, but the pitch is probably one of the best in League Two. The surface is always good, and they'll get behind them on Saturday, and it'll be a really good day.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest crowds, like you were saying, that have ever taken part in League Two football, aren't they, Pompey? And do you think it'll almost seem like a cup tie, even though they're not doing that well in the league? Just the fact they've got such a big fan base and such a big ground, it'll almost feel like Cheltenham are going to play against a bigger club in a cup game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be like Cheltenham are going to go play against a Championship club, really, because personally they are a Championship football club, Portsmouth. At the moment they're underachieving, but that's not it's not their fault where they are. I think that Cheltenham, they're going to be playing in front of a real big crowd. It'll be really noisy. So my result on Saturday, I want to draw really, because I'm stuck on the fence a little bit.
Yeah, so you mentioned Alan McLaughlin in the semi-final. He's involved there now, isn't he? The goalkeeper, Alan Knight, who you played with, and Andy Alford's involved. So what's it going to be like on Saturday, having so many mates that are still involved at Pompey?
Yeah, it's going to be nice and good, to go down on Friday and meet up with them on Saturday, Alan and that, and just reminisce about old times and that. What went on in the changing rooms and other things, and who got hit with more cups of tea than anybody else by Jim. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to going down there for the weekend. But it's a real nice moment for me as well, obviously playing for Cheltenham and Portsmouth, and I can't wait to go down.
Yeah, and you had a long career, and carried on playing for after Northampton, Forest Green, Gloucester, but were years at Pompey, would you say they were the best years of your career in terms of the quality of football?
Oh, definitely. When you're training every day with the likes of Darren Anderton, Paul Walsh, Alan Knight, Alan McLaughlin, Andy Alford, Kit Simons, a lot of those were international footballers, and it was great to be training every day. Not having to go to work like when you're in non-league and then go to train on a Tuesday and Thursday. So yeah, it was fantastic times at Portsmouth, and I just wish that we'd have won the semi, and with our budget that we had, and not the one that they had when they did win it.
Yeah.
And and then obviously in the playoffs, that was a big disappointment, losing to Leicester, when really we were probably the third best team in the league and should have got promoted.
Yeah. And what was it like? Were you a builder when you were at Cheltenham?
Yeah.
So what was it like giving all? Because obviously you gave all that up to go full time as a footballer. So was that something that you always knew you could go back to when your football career was over?
Yeah, I made the decision. I was at Northampton, still had 2 years to run on my contract. The wife and the boys, they've been pulled from pillar to post, and I just thought it was unfair. So I went in and seen the manager and said, look, I'd already spoke to Leroy at Gloucester, and to say that if I could get my contract terminated, would be okay, and then I'd just get back into the building as normal. So that's what we've done, and and I don't regret it. So it's good.
Yeah, and people will remember your time as Gloucester manager, had a good trophy run, got the team promoted, then you did have a spell at Cinderford. And tell me a bit about your what you've done since and your role at Cheltenham in the academy now. Yeah,
obviously when I left Cinderford, I went over to Spain for 2 years, coached, and player coach. I went to coach, ended up playing as well. Won the league with their team over there, and went in the playoffs, and had great times there with some good players. And then I'm at Cheltenham now doing the under-15s, and we're doing really well. So I enjoy it. There's old players there like Russell, Jamie Victory, and Mark Yates as well. Used to play against, and Kit when he played for Kidderminster when I was playing for Gloucester. But it is nice to work with people that you used to play with.
Yeah, and you quite enjoy developing the younger lads and hopefully see a few come through and make it as pro at Cheltenham.
Yeah, it is fantastic, because now I think next season we're going to have under-21s, which will give these young lads a little bit more time instead of at 18 getting released, because obviously I don't think some lads aren't mature enough at 18, so to get to the under-21s is a massive thing, and I think it'll benefit the club in a big way.
Yeah, and one of your lads is in the East team coming through. Is he the same sort of player as you were?
Well, he's as small as I was at that age, yeah, but yeah, he's technically quite a good little player. But you never know. When it comes this time next year, we've got to choose whether he's going to be a scholar or not. I might have to be the one that says no, so I'm going to be the bad egg, whatever way it is, but hopefully he will get a scholar.
Yeah, and finally, Chris, what's your prediction for Saturday, Cheltenham Pompey? Because you said it ideally you'd like a draw, but do you think that's likely? Cheltenham have drawn a lot of games this season.
Yeah, and Portsmouth, are probably better on the road this year than they are at home. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and that'll be a nice result for me. And then I can't get any stick off the Cheltenham lads or off the Portsmouth lads.
Yeah, right, brilliant. Cheers.
All right.